Hey everybody, I'm Ellen. I'm at the dance bar. I've been teaching the flexibility and mobility class at 10:30 on Wednesday mornings and 6 o'clock on Thursday evenings. And I really love this class, but it is kind of something that not everybody knows what we're doing in the class. So I want to share this routine that I started this week for hips, hamstrings, and quads. And we'll be continuing with this probably for the next 4 or 5 weeks in the class. And I'm going to do this video so that you can follow along with this series if you would like to do it just straight from the video. So I have a little chair here, and this is just so that I can use it for some balance. I really do work hard in the mobility class to make sure that it is for all levels of flexibility and all levels of stability as well. So if you need your chair to balance, go ahead and use it. So I'm going to start here facing my chair. I'm going to open my feet, and I want the tailbone to reach down so that I'm going to start warming up my hips, and I'm just going to do some little bends here. I'm just warming up the hips, down and up, down and up, and as I start to feel a little bit warmer, I'm going to start to rotate from side to side. So what I'm doing here, which I happen to love a whole lot, is I'm taking that head of the femur in my hip socket and I'm rolling it around in the hip socket. And just because of our lifestyle, the way we sit, how we're driving, we're sitting at desks and all this stuff, the hips do get really tight, and we think a lot about stretching the muscles, but so much of it is also making sure that the joints have the mobility that they need for you to get through your day. So I'm here, the leg is open, and then as I rotate, I really drop it parallel. As I start to get a little bit warmer, I'm going to start holding this on each side. So I'm going to hold, and I'm going to start pressing a little more into the calf, and then pressing my hip to the front so that I'm stretching in that hip flexor. I can go through this center plie a little deeper, work through those inner thighs, hold over here on the other side. Same thing, I'm going to keep this up, holding just a little bit longer, pressing that hip flexor forward, dropping that heel to the floor, back through my plie. If I don't want to go in and out of that plie, I don't have to. Using my chair for balance, and the deeper that I get in this, the more that I can really press this hip forward. I can even lift the chest up and back and stretch through the hip flexor and the front of that quadricep. Lowering a little more into the lunge. Building on from here. I'm going to hold in my lunge, and this time I'm going to start pumping that back leg. I'm going to really stretch more into that calf, dropping the heel. So this is a little series that's going to help me touch my toes. And what I'm really trying to do before I get too deep into those hamstrings is work on the rest of the muscles in my leg. So I'm working on my calves, right here in particularly. And then in the rest of the series, I'm working on those quads. I'm going to work in those hips and work in the hamstrings as well. So I'm going to get a little deeper here, and this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that back knee, and I'm going to start to sit back and stretch through that front hamstring. So it's still very tight. This is my first hamstring stretch. Very gentle. I'm just rocking back and forth. So I do have some philosophies about stretching, about flexibility, and one of them is that I'm never going to hold a stretch too long. What I don't want is the muscle to start to panic or to get stressed out. That's actually going to work against me. So especially warming up, I'm just going to go in and out of the stretch. Nice and easy. I'm not bouncing. Remember when they told you to bounce in stretches? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to press into the stretch and then recover. Pressing in and out. Alternating sides, I'm gonna head back to this side so that you can see me this first time around. All right, so pressing into that heel. I'm going to continue to alternate, but this time I'm going to really take my torso forward. I want to keep this nice flat back. I'm going to hold on to my chair. And now I'm going to bend and I'm going to flex that toe back, staying pitched forward, working through that hamstring, holding the stretch for just a little bit, holding it a little bit longer as I warm up, recovering. I'm going to take that to the other side, stretching, pitch forward. You can bend and stretch, pulling those toes back. I'm really thinking of the back side of the knee driving towards the floor. I'm thinking of the front hip bone driving towards my thigh. And then really peeling those toes up so that I'm getting that stretch all the way through the leg. Back to side one. I'm going to take this forward just a little bit more. Nice flat back. And this time, I'm going to open the hips and then close them back down. So I warmed up that hamstring. I'm building just a little bit more every time. Open the hips. Close it back down. And then the last time I do this, we're going to open, switch out those hands, and really reach up and twist. Finding that stretch. So as I get warmer, feeling a little more comfortable holding the stretch. And take this to the other side. Turning, finding my pitch forward, hip bone to thigh, and opening through the hips, getting a little in the inner thigh. Lower back. Opening. Also, as I get warmer and warmer, I can use a little more leverage. So I'm really pushing now into the chair that I'm warmer. And then switching out those hands. Reaching up. Coming back down. Recovering. Back to my original side. I'm going to go through that hamstring stretch one more time. So I'm going to take it forward, sinking a little deeper, opening through the hips. So again, back to my philosophies. One is not holding the stretch too long, and another one is repetition, repeating the stretch, giving it a little break. So that's why we switch sides, and then going back into it, you'll find that your muscles will release a lot more. And then next time you come around to that stretch, you'll be able to sink into it just a little bit deeper. And it definitely feels better. The first time that you do a stretch, it doesn't feel good. Even for me, and I'm used to stretching, I want a chance to kind of get into it. Opening that up. And as I recover here, I'm going to switch my feet, opposite foot in the front, find that lunge, drop the hip down, and I'm going to reach through that hip flexor a little bit more. Open the arm, and the arm's going to come up and over towards the chair, holding that out. And what I'm doing here is I'm really driving that hip bone out and feeling that stretch deepen through the hip flexor and that quad. Ooh, it feels great. I get stuck. I'm sure you do too. Switching that out. Other side. Starting with that hinge, taking it forward, open and close. I'm going really from this inner thigh stretch, opening that lower back, and then back into that hamstring stretch. It's a little gentler with my foot on the floor. I could definitely do this with my foot flexed if I wanted it to be a little higher intensity. Taking it back and forth. So I really do like the chair, and I like other props that you can use for supported stretching, because the last thing that you want when you're stretching is for it to be stressful. And if you feel like you can't sink into a stretch without kind of stressing yourself out, then you're not getting anywhere. So I'm going to switch out those feet. So finding different props to support yourself will help you on your flexibility journey. Opening up the arm, and take it open, reaching, really pressing that hip flexor open. All right, coming up, definitely repeat that if you want. Side to side. So I'm going to take this a little deeper into the hamstrings, and I'm going to just take this into a nice flat back. So the reason I like flat back stretching is that you can get a little more leverage. What I'm actually doing is I'm lifting the tailbone up to the ceiling, and I'm trying to think about putting my hip bone on the front of my thigh. And you're really going to find that nice deep stretch. And it's the same, you can see, as if I were to fold forward and touch my toes. The relationship from my hip bone to my thigh is the same. But with that flat back, I can really press into the thigh and actually get a deeper hamstring stretch. Finding that stretch. Coming up. I'm going to show you one more technique for flexibility, and that is alternating the stretch with resistance, with using the same muscle that you're stretching. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my chair turned this way because I can hold on to it. I could also flip my chair around the other way. That would be fine too, if you don't have a space here between your chair back and seat. So I'm going to take this foot onto the chair. So what I'm doing here is, the first thing that I want to do is actually flex the muscle that I'm stretching. So I'm going to bend my knee, and I'm going to push my heel into the chair, and I want to hold that for about 8 to 15 seconds. So I'm working the muscle as hard as I can. And then I'm going to release, super important, let it release, and then fold into your stretch. So what happens is when you're stretching, your body actually has a defensive mechanism that kind of causes you to tighten up a little bit. It doesn't know what's happening. A lot of stretching is giving yourself permission. But what I'm doing here is I'm working the muscle, so it's engaged, it's kind of distracted, if you will. And then you release it, and it goes, and you take that moment to take advantage of it releasing. And you can sink into the stretch before that negative reaction to stretching actually takes place. And so you can take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm going to do this a couple times. Now this is a more intense option for stretching. So I'm only going to do it maybe 4 times. I'm not going to do a whole bunch. Pushing into that muscle. And you can see the comparison from the first time I do it to this last time that I do it. I'm really able to sink in and relax into the stretch. So I'm going to do that on the other side. So taking that foot out here, I'll show you the difference. So I'm reaching for my foot. I feel comfortable about here. It's a little tight, and I've actually already stretched this morning, so I'm already warm. But this is really where I want to be in this stretch. And then as I continue through this stretch, so I'm going to press into that hamstring. Make sure it's working. Make sure, let's go, extra important. And then fold into the stretch. You can see even just that first time. The leg was ready to release just a little bit more. Press into the leg. And release into that stretch. Feels so good, flexing those toes back as hard as you can. Press into the leg. And fold to heel, working my hamstring, and fold into the stretch, and relax. And recovering. So that was our hamstring, hip, quad warm-up exercise from my mobility class. We got into some deeper stretches. We worked our way to the floor, but I just wanted to show you what we've been working on. I want you to know how that is accessible to everybody, and that it's wonderful for you. You're going to feel so much better after you go through your stretching and your mobility exercises, and I can't wait to hear your questions. I can't wait to hear your feedback, and can't wait to see you in my class.